So problems like this were very popular in the old SAT, the paper-based SAT. You would get around 3 or 4 problems like that per exam. Nowadays, these types of problems are rare. You might get one on the exam, but again, in this course, we're trying to reach perfection. So what do we do when we get a word problem and a lot of systems of equations in the choices? Well, we read the scenario and we read and convert RC, and if they want us to solve, we solve RCS. Remember that, read, convert, solve. As you're reading the problem, you should be converting words into equations. A farmer sold 108 pounds of produce that consisted of Z pounds of zucchini and C pounds of cucumbers. So this guy, this farmer, had Z pounds of zucchini plus C pounds of cucumbers, and in total he had 108 pounds, right? I don't know how many pounds of zucchini he had. I don't know how many pounds of cucumber he had, but in total it was 108. And that's my first equation, guys, isn't it? So that's why I'm going to immediately eliminate D, and I'm going to eliminate A because they have the wrong equation for some reason. Now let's take a look. It says here that the farmer sold the zucchini for $1.69 per pound. And whenever this happens, you have to add that coefficient next to the letter or the variable which represents that name. In fact, we call it the variable. Zucchini is the variable. How many zucchinis he sold, we don't know, but we know that each zucchini costed 169, so that's why we multiplied them together. Then we had a plus because he also sold a certain amount of cucumbers, and they also have a price. The cucumbers were 99 cents per pound. So we don't know how many pounds he sold, but we're gonna write 0.99 times C. And that is going to give us, well, if we have a price per pound and we multiply it by pounds, price per pound multiplied by pound, dollar per pound multiplied by pound, then that goes away. It's going to give us dollars, right? So we're going to get his revenue. We're going to get his earnings when this equation is done. That's why we write here the equal sign and we write the earnings to the right side. Okay? That's how these things work, by units. So what are units? Well, pound is a unit. This is unit of weight. Dollars, it's a unit, it's a currency, it's a unit of price, isn't it? Gallons or liters, these are units of volume. Centimeters or feet, these are units of length. Whenever you solve such problems, pay attention at your units. The right side units must be equal to the left side units. What units are you gonna have here? Well, let's take a look. Let's make a comparison. In the end, an equation has to have something like apple is equal to apple, or banana is equal to banana. Whatever's on the left side must be equal to whatever's on the right side. So let's take a look at the units. Are they equal? He's selling for 169 a pound, right? So $169 per pound of zucchini. And we multiplied by pounds of zucchini because Z represents pounds of zucchini. So multiplied by Z pounds. And then, by the way, I'm going to take this Z away because it might confuse you. And then we sum this with, again, 99 cents or $0.99 of price per pound by the mass or the weight of cucumbers by pounds. So in the end, when this goes away, because this is just multiplication, and this goes away because that's multiplication, what happens is we get dollars. We have $169. Let's bring back the Z. Z was there, right? Plus $0.99 multiplied by C is equal to $150. Dollars are equal to dollars. It's like apple is equal to apple, banana is equal to banana. Whatever we had on the left side of the equation is on the right side, and that's great. That means our equation is correct. You don't have to always do that. Don't waste your time. I'm just trying to explain to you what units are and why they are important and what's consistency in units. If you're going to study engineering in the future, you will need this knowledge. If you're not going to study engineering in future, if you want to study business or finance, you also need this knowledge. So, what looks like our system? I think choice B. And indeed, choice B is correct. Be careful, you could make a small mistake. Instead of multiplying Z by 169, you could multiply it by 99 cents. That happens sometimes. Double check your answers. Make sure that you are doing everything correctly from the beginning. Let us continue now. This is another popular question on the SAT. Here, they gave us a system of linear equations, but one of the multiples they didn't give us. They just named it C, and they said C is a constant. Now, this system of equations has no solution, which means it's just basically two lines that are parallel each other and they're spaced apart from each other. What do we know about those lines? Well, if we call this line number 1 and we call this line number 2, then the slope of line number 1 is going to be equal to slope of line number 2. That's the condition when a system of linear equations has no solution. Now they want us to find C. So how do we do that? Well, we need to compare slopes. We need to make slopes equal. And for that, we need to put everything into slope-intercept form. Don't forget this. This will come out again and again and again during your preparation. So do not forget, this is just a basic equation. So let's leave y alone here. Leave y alone. Y is equal to mx plus b. Let's do that. Carry 2x on the other side. 3y is equal to negative 2x plus 5. And then divide everything by 3. Y is equal to negative 2 over 3x plus 5 over 3. So your slope is actually negative 2 over 3. I'm going to delete everything because this is confusing. There was a drawing for reminding you, but here the slope is negative. Slope is negative 2 divided by 3. And we see that this system doesn't have any solutions. That means the slope of this line has to be also negative 2 over 3. So let's put it into the slope-intercept form. Cy is equal to negative 4x plus 8. Y is equal to negative 4 over cx plus 8 over c. I divided both sides by c. So now you take this slope and you compare it with this one. It has to be the same because these lines are parallel. They have no solutions. And when you do that, when you compare things, you equate them. And then you find C. How can you find C here? Well, multiply both sides by C. And what's going to happen is this C is going to go away. You're going to have negative 4 is equal to negative 2 over 3C. And then what you can do is you can multiply both sides by 3 and divide them by negative 2. So you're going to have C is equal to negative 4 times 3 divided by negative 2. And that's going to give you negative 12 divided by negative 2, which is just 6. So C is 6. I'm skipping this algebraic solution process very fast because I assume that by now you know how to multiply and divide and rearrange. I assume that you know that negative times negative is a positive. I assume that you know how to simplify fractions. If you don't know that, then please, please, please revisit module number 1, where I am explaining how to do all these basic operations in mathematics. Okay, so we have found the right answer. Oh, my goodness, look at the doodles I'm making. We have found the right answer. The right answer is 6. And remember, whenever they give you something like that and a constant is missing, there is always a way to find the constant just by following the rules that you know so far. This was the solution to only 2 questions out of the total 10 questions in this topic. In order to find the other solutions, please navigate to my full Udemy SAT course, link in description.